Please don't tell me ASAP is cheating on Rihanna with this girl.
Welcome to the Live and More Academy YouTube channel, where we break down reality TV, social media, and celebrity gossip so you can get an understanding of toxic, narcissistic, and abusive dynamics and trauma, and what this can look like in real time. So if that sounds good to you, subscribe, hit that bell, and let's get into it. So today we're going to be talking about green flags versus red flags, because a lot of you guys have been asking me to do a video about green flags. However, I'm reluctant to do that on its own, because a lot of the time when it comes to toxic, narcissistic, and abusive dynamics, they will display green flags, and that can throw you off, right? So I want to do a series called Green Flags versus Red Flags, explaining how these green flags can a lot of the time turn into red flags. And I've had my suspicions about ASAP Rocky for a while. I haven't said anything, but I've had my suspicions. Please do not come for me until you hear what I have to say, okay? Guys, I know there's going to be a lot of ASAP Rocky and Rihanna fans that love them together. And to be honest, they look good together. However, he's throwing up a lot of red flags for me. And I want to talk about it because, yeah, I wouldn't be me if I didn't. Let's face it. So let's get into it. You let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Let's start with the green flags. So green flags are, he's a family man. He's a traditional man with traditional values. Family comes first. This is what Rihanna's always saying about him. Oh, I love ASAP Rocky. He puts the family first and all of these things, right? And that sounds great in theory, but in practice, this can be a little bit toxic depending on what type of family man they are. Because remember, there's a lot of abuse that happens under the patriarchal system, which is the traditional man in the workplace and woman at home system, right? And a lot of abuse is covered under that sort of system. It becomes invisible because the way that they abuse doesn't actually look like abuse. It looks like something that is actually acceptable to society. So this is where the danger lies when it comes to your traditional man. Okay, I'm not saying every traditional man's a toxic, narcissistic, or abusive type. That's not what I'm saying. Hear me well, ladies. That is not what I'm saying. All I'm saying is when they say that they are traditional, I need you to look into that a little bit deeper to understand what they mean by traditional. Okay, are they traditional as in they're the provider type and they want someone in the home? However, they respect your autonomy, they take you into consideration, and they put you first in all things, making sure that your desires are met, making sure that your needs are met, making sure that you are not, oppressed in any way. If that's the type of traditional man you have, amazing tick. However, there's the other type of traditional man who wants to be the provider, but not always put you first, not always making sure that you aren't oppressed in any way, right? That's the traditional man we got to watch out for. So when someone says that they are a traditional man and have traditional values, whilst that can be a green flag, I need you to look into that and assess that to make sure that A, it actually is green, and B, that it actually stays green. Am I making sense? I hope so. Let's go on. So that's the green flag, right? He's all about family. He loves Rihanna. They're a unit, you know, and all of that stuff. He comes out of the car and he opens the door for her and he's always talking Rihanna up. And they seem like they're great together. Even when I watch them, I'm like, oh yeah, they look as though they are good together. However, a few things he said recently concerned me. And now I'm seeing a lot of other things. And I'm like, okay, this could be a green turning into red flag situation. So let's get into it. The first thing that concerned me is that Rihanna gives ASAP Rocky credit for her success. Rihanna's a billionaire, right? And she credits Rocky for this, saying that he changed her attitude about partying and her attitude towards life and towards business. And one thing that I'm always an advocate of is learning from people who have already done it, right? And my confusion about her giving ASAP Rocky credit for her success is he's not a billionaire. Like, she was with an almost married a billionaire, yet she does not give that person credit for influencing her in any way. However, A$AP Rocky, who was not a billionaire, she gives credit to. That gives me pause. The likelihood of A$AP teaching her about that are slim to none as far as I'm concerned. You gotta have to have done it first in order to teach someone how to do it. So yeah, I'm not buying that. And also she says that he changed the way that she viewed partying and things like that. And I'm like, okay, but A$AP was a party animal, okay? So I'm not understanding where these sudden family values came from. He was very much a party guy. And I'm going to play some videos that really do confirm this from his own mouth, right? So, and there are some other red flags in regards to that. So I'm not quite sure where this traditional family man came from. To me, it seems like he was a party guy and then basically decided that he wasn't going to be that anymore, and then came up with these ideas of a traditional family man, which, whilst it sounds like, oh yeah, he turned over a new leaf, again, we have to look at what those traditional values mean, especially when he's coming out and saying stuff like, I won't allow outside help when raising the kids. That was when I was like, no, Rocky. That's a red flag. And while she says he's a really involved father, you're never as involved as the mother. The mother pushes the baby out of her literal body and then feeds the baby for months on end. You're never as involved as the mother, right? You're talking about someone who is a billionaire and runs many different companies and is a performer. And you're saying, A$AP, that you don't allow anyone to help with raising the kids. I see that as him stepping over into her territory covertly, because he's not saying, oh, no, you can't do that. But he is saying that, you know what I mean? Covertly stepping over into her territory and saying, you can't have help. Like I said, he isn't overtly saying that, but essentially that's what he's saying. We're going to do it together. And whilst that sounds good in theory, he's not going to be taking up the bulk of the responsibility. She is. Just through the natural process of being the mother in that position, okay? Traditional roles, the mother takes on the majority of it. The father doesn't take on as much. So in that, he doesn't get to tell her how much help she can have when she runs a multi-billionaire company as well and is a performer. That's not how that works, Rocky. If he wants to say that he doesn't have any help when it comes to his role in fatherhood, that's fair enough. But the we thing, because she has a lot more going on than he does. I don't care how involved he is. She has a lot more going on as a mother in that traditional space than he ever will. So again, it's kind of subtle pressure. And I don't like that, because that's a red flag. This is how toxic, narcissists, and abusive people will pressure you in this way. A lot of the time it is covert. They won't say, oh my gosh, you got to do this and you got to do that. They'll just put you in positions to make you feel like you're obliged to do X, Y, and Z, like this. Like, we're playing the traditional role, and you being a good mother means that you don't have outside help. But within that, I'm going to make sure that you're overwhelmed with tasks to do, right? This is how a lot of these coverts will do it. So to me, that's a red flag. We're boundary crossing. You don't get to tell her how she's going to raise the children as a professional woman. You can go about saying how you're going to do it, and you can have ideas around how you can do it together. However, you shouldn't be dictating the resources she has access to. Because a lot of people are saying, yeah, but she's a billionaire, so she can afford it. But he's taken away her resources, right? Because now he's saying that she can't have outside help. So her being a billionaire really doesn't help her now, does it? Because now she doesn't have access to the advantages she would have access to as a billionaire. Now she's just a mother with 3 kids, well, 2 kids, the third one on the way. Do you see what I mean? So as soon as I heard that, I was like, you're kind of overstepping your bounds there, Rocky. You're kind of overstepping your bounds, because you knew that she was a successful woman from the beginning. You knew that she had multiple companies from the beginning. What about that isn't clicking when you're talking about her being a mother and how she's going to go about that? What about that isn't clicking for you? I don't like that. Because the thing is, the good traditional family man is going to take into account her success and her companies whilst putting together a system that works for the family. He doesn't seem to be taking that into account, which makes him a bad one, because in putting her and her well-being first, you are supposed to be taking that into consideration. So that gives me cause for concern, right? Then we hear about him being with an OF model, right? Again, hear me out, guys. Let me cook, right? So here's what we hear about him being with an OF model.
Please don't tell me ASAP is cheating on Rihanna with this girl. Did you guys watch this stream? She didn't cover her mouth, so everyone guessed that she said ASAP Rocky. And ASAP does know her. He's liked past pictures of her before, but watch this video. Pay attention to the lips and to their facial expressions.
Who's the most famous person you've been with? Can I ask that?
Yeah, but you have to mute it.
I don't know if you can see it at that. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put it to this full screen so you can see it properly. Because it does look like she says ASAP Rocky.
Who's the most famous person you've been with? Can I ask that?
Yeah, but you have to mute it.
And then they unmute it, and this is what she says.
That was the other day, too. That's, like, we're homies, though. Like,
That's crazy.
No, it's not. It's not. It's not. It's not. Why did they get it? It's not. Why would you guys, really, you guys?
Listen, she says, why did they get it? So obviously it is, right? She was mouthing it. The audience caught on to it and were saying in the chat who she said. And then she's like, it's not. Why did they get it? So clearly it is. Let's keep going.
You guys think I would pull ASAP Rocky? Look at me. Like, look at me. You guys are stupid. I would never. It was Wiz Khalifa. I'm just kidding.
No, that's cool.
So this was an OF model. Now, my first question was, why are you, because she talks about how they're kind of friends anyway, and they're still in contact, and this was a month ago, and this, that, and the other, and that bit, right? And my first question is, okay, why are you even friends with an OF model, Mr. Family Man, ASAP Rocky? I'm confused. That in itself is a bit of a contradiction. And you know that they're friends because he likes her stuff on Instagram and stuff like that, right? They interact with each other. So it's not just her making it up. It's kind of like a two-way thing. Why are you friends with an OF model? Then I find out from an interview 5 years ago that he actually has an sex addiction, as in present day. But we'll get into that in a minute. In that same interview with Angie Martinez, she asked him if he can be faithful. And this is his answer.
Are you capable of a monogamous relationship?
Yes, of course. I'm not gonna fabricate, you know what I'm saying? You win some, you lose some. If I won, I'm gonna tell you I won. If I lost, I'm gonna tell you I lost. That's life, you feel me?
Yeah.
So, I was always a sex addict.
Really?
Yeah.
At what age starting?
Like probably junior high.
Wow.
Yeah. Like I was horny. Like I wanted, like
You were
I
a
probably,
kid.
I ain't even have no sperm in my testicles yet, but I literally just was horny.
But you use the word sex addict.
That answer concerns me. Because, okay, whilst he did say, yeah, of course I can be faithful, he then goes into a word salad that implies a contradiction to his first answer. And toxic, narcissistic, and abusive people will answer things in this way. You think you got a clear answer because he said yes. But then at the back end of that, he totally contradicts it with this other stuff. So he says, of course I can be faithful. And then he says, I'm not going to basically paint flowers on it. If I win, I'll tell you I win. And if I lost, I'll tell you I lost, which really doesn't tell us anything. It's like, okay, so can you be faithful or not? Because what? And then from there, he goes into how he's an sex addict, which further contradicts his ability to actually be faithful in a relationship, wouldn't you say? Right? And he talks about how he's had this ever since he was a kid. Red flag, red flag, red flag. And if we put that together with his friendship with the OF model, which he doesn't need to be friends with because aren't you a family man now? It gives me more pause. Now, there's a lot of rumors going around that he has been cheating on her before, and he has this thing about OF models, which I've never paid any attention to until now. And in the same interview, he goes on to say this.
I was always a sex addict.
Really?
Yeah.
At what age starting?
Like probably junior high.
Wow.
Yeah. Like I was horny. I ain't even have no sperm in my testicles yet, but I literally just was horny.
But you use the word sex addict.
I've been a sex addict for some time, yeah.
Since then?
I presume so. These are things that people stay away from and they don't like to admit. I can't be embarrassed about it.
My concern is that I didn't hear a recovery story out of that. Like, to say that you were an addict, to say that, you know, you were a party animal at one point, and then you went to, I don't know, rehab or started some program to help you to recover from this is one thing. But to say that you're just an addict, full stop, is a red flag to me. And again, coupled with his friendship with an OF model who says under a muted mic that she has actually been with A$AP Rocky, again, red flag. Now, you might argue they were together before Rihanna and him ever were. And that's fine, fair enough, but why are you still in contact with this woman then? Again, it's still a red flag. Why are you still in contact with this woman? Another red flag for me is the ongoing pregnancies. She's had one, she's had two, and now she's pregnant again with her third child in a row. This is what toxic, narcissistic, and abusive types will do to keep you out of operation, quite frankly. They'll just keep getting you pregnant, right? It's a way of making you emotionally dependent, financially dependent, although this wouldn't work in her case because she has more of the money. Physically dependent, this is how they do it. And if he is a toxic or a narcissistic type, he would be using the whole traditional values to convince her that it is her responsibility to fulfill that role as a mother the way that he sees fit, which is control, right? It is her responsibility to sacrifice her billionaire businesses, her profession as a performer in order to fulfill that mother role. This is how they get you. Now, please don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that this is 100% what he's doing. However, I am saying that this green flag of him being a family man could very well be a red flag of a toxic, narcissistic, and abusive character. And also, she likes the bad boy, right? And they are very much selling the whole, oh, he's a bad boy, but he's good to me. That does not exist, ladies. The bad boy is a bad boy, and a bad boy is a bad boy. That's it. He's not going to be a bad boy and then good to you. He's going to be a bad boy through and through. And how the bad side of them shows up in your relationship might not be in an overt way. It might not be in cursing you out and calling you names or anything like that, but it will show up in some shape or form. And I do believe that there's enough here to give this guy a side eye. Most definitely, especially finding out about his sex addiction, especially with that in the loop and him being friends with OF models and him having a reputation for being with OF models at that before Rihanna. It gives me pause. So in conclusion, please, ladies, even if the guy is showing you green flags, please make sure that you assess the green flags over a period of time to make sure that they are actually green flags and they don't morph into something completely different. Anyway, those are my thoughts on the topic. Let me know yours in the comment section. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to this channel, and hit that bell so you get a notification every time I upload a new video. And until the next time, live boldly, live empowered, live from the inside out. Bye for now.
It was love and all the above, but you wanna suffer. Trauma